There are three hormones in the body that are feel-good hormones. There are three hormones in the body. The first is dopamine, the second is serotonin, and the third is oxytocin. Dopamine is the reward hormone. That is the hormone that is released anytime we give ourselves a fix if we have an addiction. And dopamine is a hormone that's released in the brain anytime we move away from pain or discomfort to pleasure/reward. And serotonin is that joy hormone. When we don't have serotonin in the body, that's when we feel depression. That's when we feel anxiety. That's when we need maybe to take medication to help us get those serotonin levels up. But that's our natural constant feeling of joy, ease, gratitude. Oxytocin is the hormone of love. That's actually what we're after. That's what we're here to do. The hormone that we actually want to experience all the time is oxytocin. That's the hormone of love. That's the one that we get when we're kind to ourselves, when we say nice things to ourselves. It's the one that we feel when we do nice things for others, not expecting anything in return. Welcome back, friends. I'm your host, Shaban, and with each episode, I am honored to be your coaching guide in the journey to make peace with food, fall in love with fitness, and ultimately yourself. My intention in each episode is to help you release the old story of who you are and step into the one you're always meant to be. We'll challenge conventional diet and fitness culture and understand the importance of tuning out all the shoulds they tell us to do and tuning into our own inner wisdom instead. What you focus on, you create more of. Through these conversations, you'll shift your focus from what you're supposed to be doing to who you want to be, so that health and fitness and ease around food is not just what you do, but who you are. And if you find that this conversation resonates with you today, then I want to invite you to join our free Make Peace with Food Facebook community at myfoodfreedomlifestyle.com, where you can connect with me and my team directly and access all the free trainings and resources we have for you so you can regulate your nervous system and make peace with food. And then also remember to share this episode with someone who you think needs to hear this today. The links are in the show notes. All right, now let's get into it. There are three hormones in the body that are feel-good hormones, that are our feel-good hormones. There are three hormones in the body. The first is dopamine, the second is serotonin, and the third is oxytocin. Now, dopamine is the reward hormone. That is the hormone that is released anytime we give ourselves a fix if we have an addiction. And dopamine is a hormone that's released in the brain anytime we move away from pain or discomfort to pleasure/reward. So anytime I feel something as uncomfortable, whether that's an emotion, whether that's a conversation, whether that's a physical feeling in the body, and then I use something such as substance, food, alcohol, shopping, TV, that suddenly makes me feel good. And then I repeat that cycle a few times. I train my brain for that dopamine reward pattern, which is, Sherry, when you feel stressed and then you have ice cream, it feels good. And so my brain says, okay, every time you feel this emotion and stress and then you have ice cream, it feels good, dopamine's released. And that now becomes a pattern. And as you know, dopamine is short-lived. You feel good for just a short moment of time. Dopamine is a first-order thinking hormone also. And dopamine also gets numb after a while. Now, when I'm stressed in the same way at the same level, that amount of ice cream just doesn't do it anymore. My body's adapted to it. So what do I need? I need more ice cream. And that's why you see over time people overdosing on recreational drugs. Why is that? Because they actually need more and more to get that same dopamine hit that they did initially. One glass of wine that would give you a buzz is now 3 or 4 glasses of wine to give you that same buzz. A couple of cookies is now an entire box of cookies to give you that same buzz. And again, that is the dopamine reward system in the brain. So dopamine Okay, that's the first hormone. Then the second hormone that we have is serotonin. Serotonin, 90% of serotonin is released in the gut. 90% of serotonin is released in the gut. And serotonin is that joy hormone. When we don't have serotonin in the body, that's when we feel depression. That's when we feel anxiety. That's when we need maybe to take medication to help us get those serotonin levels up. But that's our natural constant feeling of joy, ease, gratitude, serotonin. And serotonin, again, 90% of it is produced in the gut. When we are in protection mode, when you're in fight or flight, digestion is like at the bottom of the list of importance. Because if we are in an emergency situation, we've got to make sure we're always geared up for survival. And so blood flow is going to the arms and the legs to make sure that we've got instant access to that energy, that sugar, that cortisol is keeping high. And therefore, digestion is not important. And there's a difference, like I've been saying, between eating and then digesting. Eating and digestion are not the same function. Eating is actually mastication, breaking down food. Digestion now is what happens later in the intestines and in the colon, where food is actually going to be broken down into smaller particles. And it doesn't happen while you're eating. This happens hours later. And so if you're eating, you're actually not digesting. Yes, and some of you are going to say, well, actually digestion starts in the mouth. Well, amylase actually is just released in the mouth, in the saliva, to start to break down starch so that it can get into the digestive system. But actual digestion and distribution of nutrients, and also activating enzymes and regulating your hormones and all of the other important things, and releasing serotonin, all of that happens in digestion. All that happens in the digestive system. But if I'm in protection mode at all times, that's turned off. I need my digestive system to break down my fat tissue. So to release weight, my digestive system has to be a priority. To produce serotonin, my digestive system has to be a priority. But if I'm in protection mode, no wonder why I'm always bloated. I have indigestion. I've got all kinds of food sensitivities. I've got all kinds of things constantly going on in my gut, and I never get to digest. And it just seems like it's always accumulating in the midsection. And no matter what I do, it's always in the midsection. Well, that is exactly what you've asked your body to do through your thoughts, through the vagus nerve. And what I want you to take away from today's conversation about the gut and the brain is that every single thought that you have creates chemistry in the body. Like I shared earlier, what you want is oxytocin. That's really the one that you want. What you want is love. Oxytocin is the hormone of love. That's actually what we're after. That's what we're here to do. That's why when you're in love, there is no time or space. It's like it all collapses. That's why when you do something that you love, it's like, whoa, was that 6 hours? That's why when you're spending time with people you love, you're at ease. Like you can be yourself and be so silly and talk about your sharding stories and nobody judges you. And that's really what we want. The hormone that we actually want to experience all the time is oxytocin. That's the hormone of love. That's the one that we get when we're kind to ourselves, when we say nice things to ourselves. It's the one that we feel when we do nice things for others, not expecting anything in return. It's that hormone that's released when we're contributing, when we're being generous with ourselves, when we're being patient, when we're hugging people, when we are petting our animals that are part of our family, when we're holding our children, when we are just doing this to ourselves. You're releasing oxytocin just by doing this. That is the hormone we're after. And we don't know how to access it because of all the negative self-talk. And so what do? Because the body needs to regulate. When you're always in protection mode, it needs to diffuse that. How does it diffuse it? Well, through food. Because it can't access oxytocin. There's too much negative self-talk, so there's no love. All right, plan B, serotonin. Wait a minute, plan B just failed because I'm always in inflammation. I'm always eating not only the foods that don't serve me, that are creating physical trauma in the body, that my nervous system is reacting to because of the chemicals that are in there and the toxins that are in there and all of the preservatives that are in there and the colors. And on top of that, because I'm in protection mode, digestion is not important. When we rest and digest, when we are in parasympathetic or when we're in safety mode, that's when the healing happens. Well, I can't heal if I'm always, first of all, eating, digesting, trying to digest those foods that are undigestible. I'm always in protection mode, turning off my digestive system. So now serotonin, okay, can't access that. Well, what's left? What's left? Dopamine. Dopamine's left. And so it's like I borrowed money from Deborah to pay Janet. Then I borrowed money from Janet to pay Lana. And it's like this constant, I'm in debt with everything in my body. But really all I want is oxytocin. And so I use dopamine for that quick fix. Dopamine, as you know, that is an instant relief. It feels good for a second. Why do we get buyer's remorse? Why do we feel shame or guilty after we consume something? We were feeling like super joyful moments ago while we were eating it. It was like, pleasure. And then after that, second order thinking kicks in. And then it's like, why did I do that? Oh my God, did I actually eat the whole row? Again, I want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to continuing this conversation. I'll see you then. Thanks for listening to this episode. Whether you're already on your wellness journey or just getting started, we're in this together. If this has resonated with you today, I want to invite you to subscribe to the show so you never miss a beat. And if you know someone who could benefit from this conversation, then please share this episode with them. Let's work together to help as many people as possible make peace with food and fall in love with fitness. And also, don't forget to visit myfoodfreedomlifestyle.com to join the free Facebook group for more resources. Remember, you are an inspiration. I can't wait to hear your story. See you next time.